Hi, and welcome back to BRUIN BANTER. Today's episode, so this was supposed to happen. The original idea for this episode was that it would be after week one, kind of our first week of class. It was gonna be like first impressions, like how we feel about the program. Since it's kind of like our third year is kind of like a whole new start to like school. We have like new classes, new teaching styles, new like everything. Like everything's
literally
new.
everything.
Like it feels like we're going to a completely different school.
Yeah.
So like we kind of want to talk about that, but now it's the end of week 3.
Don't mind me.
Out of 10, which is like
crazy.
Yeah, super
Literally
fast.
Crazy.
But anyways, yeah. So basically, we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we have a few like complaints, I guess, about soft complaints.
Yeah.
About the nursing program and kind of our experience so far. But overall, just kind of reflecting on what we've had so far. And I feel like this might actually be a good time to talk about it because our workload is somewhat like slowing down a little bit, or at least we're getting into like the rhythm of things. I feel like week 1, like if we had done this podcast episode, it would have just been us ranting about how hard everything is right now.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa can speak for herself. I've been a little bit like more stressed than Lisa just because I'm like a stressed person. I'm also a procrastinator, so don't do that. So I'm like a little bit behind on schoolwork, and so like
that's okay though.
I'm gonna catch up.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And I think after this week, like once everything starts slowing down, it's gonna be like a lot like more manageable.
Yeah,
we just have to make it to week 4.
Okay, well let's start with let's give like a rundown.
I'm getting.
No, you're fine. We're fine.
Going on tangents.
Okay, so rundown. The classes. So we're in fall quarter of our third year right now, and this quarter is supposed to kind of be like the transition between like taking our general education courses and our like prerequisites into like fully immersing ourselves into clinicals next quarter. So it's kind of that in between. Right now we're taking fundamentals and physical assessment, which are kind of like common basic nursing courses. And then we're taking a nutrition class, a growth and development class, and the second part of pathophysiology.
Yeah, so no more GEs for us. Now
no
we're
more
like,
GEs.
I know we mentioned this in like the other podcast episode, but we're like fully in nursing classes now. Yeah. Like, I don't think I realized like what that meant until like we started.
It's interesting because I go back and forth about it. I feel like like as much as it's harder and it feels very different, and I feel like I wasn't prepared for it to feel so different. Right. Like I was coming back knowing that it was going to be hard, but not that it was going to feel so different. Like I fully feel like I'm in a different program now. Yes. Like living in different dorms, like never being on campus, only walking to the nursing building. Yeah. Like it feels like we're fully enrolled in a different school, like a grad program or something.
Well, and not to mention that we're taking classes with master's students. Right. So like, which adds a whole nother, like they're, you know, multiple years older than us, like, and we're learning the same. We're supposed to be like, we're expected to learn at the same level as them. Yeah. Which is also like,
that's true. We don't really like talk about that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like they're master students and we're taking the same classes as them. Right. We're taking the same level classes as master students. Yeah. And we're expected to perform at the same level as them. And
4 out of 5 of our classes are all upper div classes.
Yeah, it's just insane, and it just the workload I think is like caught me off guard, especially coming out of like 2 COVID years, right? Where like workloads were exponentially like decreased. I don't think that they should have done that, at least for the nursing program, because then we had like I feel like I had an unrealistic expectation of like I knew it was gonna be hard, and I knew it was gonna be hard. I didn't expect this much.
Yeah, and that like I said, that big of like a transition into like not only having a higher workload, but like. Yeah. Like I feel like we're feeling the same way that like high school to like college people feel, you know, like switching into like a completely new routine and like a new.
I think in spring quarter I took 3 classes. Yeah. And now I'm taking 5. Now we're taking.
We've
5.
never taken 5.
We've never taken 5 classes.
No, it's always
like most students don't even take 4. Like you don't take 5 classes. Yeah. Jeez.
So yeah, that's kind of just to give you an idea of where we're at. But yeah, I mean, let's start. Should we start on the positives or start on the negatives?
We can start on the negatives and end on a good note.
Okay, let's do that. So, we have a couple things. I mean, I think we can kind of go chronologically. So, I guess one of the first things that was a bit annoying before we even, like, started this quarter has to do with our scrubs. Yeah. So, we along with a whole bunch of other like requirements that we had to do over the summer. One of them was to buy our scrubs, since we have to wear scrubs to lab.
Brought them. We should wear them for one podcast episode. We can wear them for a podcast episode.
Yeah. And besides the fact that they were very expensive, and a bit of a hassle to purchase.
Yeah, we have to buy all of our own equipment too.
That too, yeah, our lab packs. I'll pull that out in a second. But so the scrubs, one of the first issues that I think a few of us had was that I think I'll insert a picture. I can probably find it online, like the shop. There's men's and women's scrub sizes, and the men's ones are like significantly different. Like, not only are they different colors, so you can't mix and match them, as you mentioned earlier, but the men's ones, like for example, the top, ours have 2 pockets here. Theirs has an extra pocket here, which is like the convenient pocket in terms of putting your badge there and putting right. And then the pants have 2 pockets on their sides and 2 up here. We have 2 pockets here and 1 there. So it's just like, actually no, sorry. They have 1 pocket here too, but it's like split into 2 like subdivisions.
Yep. To put like a pen in and to
put
like other stuff
and like more, and they have like a little like loop to hook like keys on or something. Yeah. Like it just seems kind of ridiculous like to go into, not to say that nursing's like, but you would think nursing of all majors wouldn't have those like Yeah. No, I understand.
It just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I got the men's scrub pants instead of the women's because I didn't I wanted the extra pocket, I wanted all that stuff, but also the waistband on the men's pants is different. It feels more like sweatpants, and like the tie part is on the inside, so you can fold them over if they're too big.
That too.
They also like the cut of the leg is different, so like the men's pants are straight, and then the women's like flare out at the bottom. I might need to end up getting the women's ones though, because I don't think I like got the right size, but like it's frustrating because like they're also like slightly different colors too. So like I have a women's top and a men's bottoms, and you can tell that they're not the same color, which is like really frustrating. And you would think that like, because like demographically, like in the nursing program, I would say girls outnumber the guys like 10 to 1.
Right.
Like literally there's there's like 5 guys in our 5 in our cohort.
Well, and there's, if you're not counting the transfers, there's 3 plus the 5 transfers, because there's 5 out of the 10 transfers are guys.
Okay. Yeah, so there's like 8, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is still
8 out of 50.
8 out of 50.
Right.
It's like like maybe 5 to 1.
Yeah.
Number. Like, crazy.
Right.
And like it doesn't make sense. I guess it doesn't like make sense. Anyways,
it's confusing, yeah, and it's just like, it's frustrating. Like I was genuinely like frustrated by it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
It's not.
So that's one. That's
one of the few
the
things.
first issue. The second one is like along the similar vein of like low key like sexism in the workplace, or like I guess like gender inequality.
I think you can say that. Right? Yeah.
Like I would say like inequality in the workplace is for both our physical assessment labs and our nursing fundamentals classes. Or no, it's mainly physical assessment.
It's physical.
Our physical assessment class is exactly what it sounds like. We do a physical assessment on a different area of the body every week.
On each other.
We do it on other students. But they provide us... And we have an
assessment, like, once a week where we have to do,
like a test.
Like a respiratory or a cardiac, like...
So far we've had...
Assessing that.
Head, ears, nose, and throat.
Head, eyes, ears.
Sorry, head, eyes, ears, nose, and throat. We've also had respiratory and, like, chest sounds, and we've also had cardiac and chest systems. So we've had, like, basically, like, from here to, like, the bottom of your ribs. And then we have abdominal next
week. So it's like we're
going down. We're making our way down the body. Yeah. And we've had 3 so far, and in all 3, our professor like posts a video tutorial like demonstrating how we're supposed to complete the physical assessment and what things to look for. And we also have like diagrams in our lecture about like the different body parts and like what areas to perform. And in all of the diagrams, all of the videos, men are the only like patients used. So we had like ever in the videos, the diagrams,
and these are assessments like in lecture too. It's never even mentioned because the problem with that specifically for these assessments. I mean, I guess this is specifically referring to cardiac and respiratory,
but in general,
right? In those assessments, you're palpating, like you're feeling around the chest, you're listening to the chest, like with your stethoscope, and she never even mentions, none of them do. Like, we have multiple professors, we have multiple, like, textbooks, multiple TAs, lecture material.
Everything.
It's never mentioned anywhere.
About
like, what you do
on a person with breasts.
With breast tissue. Where you, like, when you're listening to the heart sounds and you're feeling for the what's the word? The intercostal spaces, there's just certain things that, like, are done very differently. Yeah.
So there's, like, no representation for, like, people who have breast tissue. Like,
which, once again, is a great majority of the class.
Right.
And so we're left to come to lab on Friday.
Where we have to do physical assessments on each other.
Yes, where we have an hour to practice to use that hour
to explain,
to relearn everything in the correct way for people with breast tissues.
Yeah, because it's not explained in class. It's not explained in the videos. It's not explained in the lecture content, in the tech, like, nowhere. And we come to lab and we have to ask, like, our lab instructors, like, so how do we do this? And they're like, oh. Like, we're not learning it right off the bat. And then, like, again, like what Lisa was saying about, like, palpating is, like, when you, like, it's a fancy word for feeling, and you usually, like, palpate for, like, lesions, masses, basically, like, lumps, bumps, and everything in between. And, like, in a man or in somebody without breasts, like, for the cardiac and respiratory, like,
you're just going straight down.
Like, straight down the chest, like, on both sides and in the middle. You can't do that with someone with breast tissue, because then at that point, like, you're groping them, like, and obviously as healthcare professionals, that's
something you want to avoid,
right? And they had to instruct us, like, a whole way, like, in my lab,
like, a very
to hold
different
your hand
method.
Like, you have to hold your hand a completely different way when you're
or ask the patient to, like, lift their breast tissue,
or ask the patient to participate, and that's not something that we're being instructed on how to do.
It's very frustrating.
It's really frustrating.
And it's like we have these, like, gaps in our learning, and then too it's like they're leaving it up to us to, like, ask those questions and learn those things, because if we hadn't asked, we would have fully gotten to the actual assessment and like made our classmates uncomfortable and, like, not know proper technique to, like, keep each other safe and keep it like a healthy learning environment. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong just because of, like, that one, like, simple, you'd think that's, like, common sense,
right? Like,
I don't know, it's really frustrating.
There's not a lot of additional information for, like, people that are, like, people without breast tissue, people that don't have basically anything else. And if you're not, like, I don't know, like, the same body type as, like, a mannequin,
right? And even the mannequins have, like, breast tissue, like, half of them,
right?
Like, a good amount of them do. I don't know. And even in that class already, like, just on a basic, like human, like, anxiety level, like, even if we're not doing, like, physical assessments, it's still very anxiety inducing, like, the whole test process. And then not to mention the fact that we're sitting there, like, in, like, sports bras or, like, tank tops, but usually sports bras, because you can't even do half the assessments.
You can't do the assessments in a tank top.
With, like, those, like, disposable hospital gowns over us. Yep. And, like, last class we were barefoot. So many random things, which is fine, but, like, you'd think when you're in that situation, you'd want to make the students feel as comfortable as possible. Yeah. And that's just something that's not really, like, that's, like, actively, like, stopping that process from happening. And
because, like, for us, like, what they ask us to do, for example, for, like, the respiratory and, like, the cardiac assessments is, like, in the video, the patient was wearing a hospital gown, and we have to wear hospital gowns for this too, and they ask the patient to remove the hospital gown.
Like a paper gown.
Like the paper gown, so that they can feel, like, the chest area and listen for sounds and all of that stuff. And so we're having to wear, like, bras or, like, sports bras. I tried wearing a tank top one class, and I was told to take it off.
You have to take it off.
I wasn't wearing a sports bra. I was wearing a regular bra.
You can't listen with a stethoscope over clothes.
Right. I was wearing a regular bra and a tank top because they told
they
told us that we could do that.
Yep.
And then my professor or lab instructor was like, no, like, I'm so sorry, like, can you please, like, remove your tank top? And I was like, okay, like, there's privacy screens, so, like, that's fine, but, like, it doesn't make me feel very comfortable. No. And, like, this is, like, I understand now, like, how a patient would feel if, like, you know, this happened to them.
And I would hate for, like, even just in terms of, like, teaching us to be good nurses, you'd think this is, like, because then also the male students aren't learning, like, the people who aren't asking aren't learning this. Well, like, they're not learning proper technique.
In my lab, at least, the male students are practicing on each other.
Right.
So they're really, like,
it's like a big gap in our education that's not. Yeah. And you think, like, our program is so, like, well, like, I'd hate for our program to get that reputation, too.
Because I feel like our professors, like, I don't know what other word to use for it, like, a lot of them are, like, really, like, woke, I guess. Like, I don't know, I literally don't know what
I think...
Progressive.
Yeah.
They're very progressive. Apparently not in this area, which is shocking, like, considering some of the things that our professors have, like, talked to us about.
Right.
It, like...
Like, we've had lectures on, like, pronouns and like,
gender-affirming
care and things that I feel like a lot of programs just miss out on.
Yeah, and those have been, like, I feel like critical, especially like now, like those like that type of care is critical because, you know, as a healthcare provider, like, your patients need to trust you and your patients need to feel comfortable around you. And so we're getting the words and we're getting, like, the actions, but not, like, the actual, like,
there's still gaps and there's still things that
gaps, right?
Yeah, like, big gaps. It's a big deal. I really think it is.
Yeah, and I don't want, like, people to think, like, our professors are, like, the ones that, like, are the main cause of this issue. We're not sure if this is, like, systematic or, like, it goes higher up than our professors, because our professors really are great. And they've been really trying to, like, make strides for, like, ways to make our, like, training and make especially our fundamentals professor. I really love her. She's been doing so much to try and help us like, be better at healthcare and deal with more, like, real world situations. I don't know if, like, you want to speak more about that.
No, I agree. I think you pretty much said it. I mean, okay, so right. I mean, adding on to the fundamentals thing. So recently, this was last week, we had a conversation with our professor so we had a conversation in class earlier this week about how there's been some miscommunication, I guess, or, like, some gaps in our learning because of certain faculty.
It's a polite way to put it.
Basically, so I guess I'll just actually, like, explain the situation. So one of our professors was trying to get us to participate in, unfortunately, something that's very important for our future and for our current safety too, like, even in school right now, which was an active shooter training and how to deal with that in a hospital setting, how to deal with that in a school setting, things that are taught, like, nationally across the board, like, things that a lot of students in high school, unfortunately, of course, a lot of students in high school learn, a lot of, like, elementary schoolers, middle school, like, this is, like, like, in the workplace.
And this goes back also to, like, I'm actually, after you talk, I'm gonna, like, talk about, like, UCLA's policy and the stuff that happened last year too.
And so we were having a conversation about this because this was something that was in our syllabus, like, planned. We were going to have a professional, like, someone very high up in, like, active shooter training and, like policy making who was going to come and teach us about this. And it was denied by faculty, not only within the nursing school, but, like, in UCLA in general. Like, this was talked at, like, high up conferences and, like, meetings, and just completely rejected by faculty. And it's just things like that really show how even, like, a very progressive school and a very, like, high ranking school that should very easily have these opportunities and give these opportunities to students, and it's just not happening.
And it's this also, like this is in conjunction with, like, something that happened last year at UCLA where there was an active shooter threat, where there was a shooting threat in one of the departments. I think it was the Department of Philosophy.
Well, it was a bomb threat.
And it was a shooting threat and a bomb threat. Where
the whole school went on lockdown.
Well, a previous professor had been threatening UCLA and had been posting, like, really scary manifestos online and had been, like, emailing, I guess, a bunch of, like, UCLA administrators and faculty members about how, like, something, like, he was going to do something to the philosophy department at UCLA. UCLA did not inform us of this.
Right.
People found out through, I think there was a TA that people found out through.
Something like
that. Because the philosophy department had been emailed, and the teachers and the professors were getting upset, obviously, because their lives were at risk. And I was taking a philosophy class as my GE that quarter, and so I got an email that was like, we just want to let you know.
Well, yeah, we were taking a class too in the building. Yeah.
And they were like, we just want to let you know, like, that this is happening. And not a word from UCLA administrators.
Nothing.
And of course everybody found out, because
I mean, news like that spreads fast.
That spreads fast, and this is an active bomb and shooting threat is, like, a really big deal, especially, you know, in the United States, unfortunately. And UCLA administration was silent. They finally, after a lot of people were upset about it, they finally said, okay, fine, we will shut down the philosophy department for a day.
Right. Yeah.
And students other places were like, okay. And some professors weren't even going to cancel their classes in the philosophy department.
Yep.
I had a professor that says, oh, we can just lock our doors. And I was like, are you, what? We can just, since when has that stopped anyone before? Yeah. And finally, students started calling the news and talking to news stations and magazines and tabloids. And finally, UCLA administration.
And the FBI and stuff got involved. Right. Like, eventually, things were... And this was someone who was in a completely different state that was driving across the country who could not be found. Like,
they couldn't
no one
find
had,
him.
like, details on this person.
And, like, the UCLA's response was just like, we're working with UCPD to figure this out, and LAPD.
Yeah.
And then finally, because students were causing such a riot about it, UCLA was like, okay, we'll shut down for the day. All classes will be on Zoom. And that was after and they didn't send that email, I think, until like 1 a.m., right? Maybe it was the next, or it was like the next morning that before everyone was supposed to go to school, they finally sent out the email that they were canceling school. So unfortunately, this is not the first time that UCLA has kind of like neglected student safety, which...
And I'm sure there's other things that we just don't know about.
So many other things that we don't know about, and like so many more things than we could talk about in this video, but I encourage you to like look at like the UCLA president account and look for like the Disabled Students Union and like the Black Student Union and like all of these other organizations that have been sidelined and have been kind of dissed, I guess, by UCLA administration, who, you know, we're the #1 public university and we have one of the best like healthcare facilities in the country, and they don't care about student safety, is what it feels like.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable to say. Yeah,
they obviously have no concern for that, which is really disappointing because I would have expected better.
Right.
But sorry, downer. Anyways,
I feel like that wraps that up for that topic. We're gonna end on a good note.
Yeah, what were we gonna talk about?
So we can do that. What was the good thing?
Was it not recording the whole time? Lisa, no!
It was zoomed in to like the middle of the... Hold on. Check.
Okay. Lab packs.
However, we will address the fact that the last 10 minutes of the podcast, not really sure how I'm going to edit it, but what happened was, I wear my watch, and the lovely thing about Apple Watches is you can watch what you're recording, right? Except that the little twisty thing will zoom in and out.
Yeah.
And so I like to keep the little twisty thing right in a spot where it's very easy to twist. And so it twisted, and that's what happened. It zoomed in, and it was just right here.
On a pretty important part of the podcast.
And we don't really have the time or energy to re-record that. So since it's a podcast, that part might just be an audio part. Yeah, which is fine.
Sure.
Oh, I need my microphone.
Yeah, I took your microphone.
Yeah. Good thing these are plugged in. So here she is. This is our lab packs. So what is a lab pack, you may be asking? A lab pack is a $400 bag.
$400 lab pack.
Full of supplies. Everything except needles is in here. And a stethoscope.
Which we had to buy. That was also...
And sterile gloves.
That was like $100. Stethoscope was $100.
Yeah, and a pen light. We had to get a pen light too. Pen lights are just the little lights they use to shine in your eyes for your pupils.
Or your mouth.
Or your mouth.
An oral exam.
Sure.
But yeah, this little beauty is $400.
She's got everything in it.
Except a stethoscope.
Isn't she beautiful?
That we had to pay for. So the nursing school did not give these to us for free, even though they are required for our education.
To be fair, at the orientation and for the past 2 years, they have been telling us that there would be a significant amount of expenses our junior year, and they told us exactly around what that amount would be.
They just didn't tell us until like after we had gotten it. Like, this wasn't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Which kind of, I mean, we were already in the program, so like, what are we gonna do?
But I mean, like,
I wanted to be in the
textbooks
program,
and like things like that. There's always going to be extra expenses.
That's true.
But yeah, it does kind of suck.
You can take that part out if you want.
It's okay. I mean, it's the truth. Hey, we're unplugged.
We're unplugged.
So yeah, I mean,
just out of school.
I don't want to like. So these are all like color coded and like organized and things. So I'm not going to go into it. But there's everything in here.
Yeah.
And they're very fun. And that's what we use. We have to bring our supplies for fundamentals, and it's mostly just fundamentals.
Yeah.
And we're going to be using this for the next 2 years. So the wonderful people at the UCLA store, shout out to them.
Yeah, they packaged
for packing
it.
them. Can't imagine that.
No, and
like,
they had to do like
hell.
100 of them.
No,
and
more, because for the Mechans too.
Well, yeah,
like
that's
150.
What I mean. Like, oh, jeez. Yeah, they had to do probably like 150. And how many things are in our lab packs?
So many. Like we made a spreadsheet, and there's like these things are packed, and there's a very specific amount of like everything. I don't know how they were organized in it. Like
we spent
not even
an
UCLA
hour.
store,
We spent an hour and a half. Yeah. Unpacking every single thing
and
in the lab
doing an inventory
and doing an
inventory
check to make sure we had everything. Like, I can't
it's
even imagine
crazy.
how long
and that's the things we're gonna need for the next 2 years. Like they were able to like all the professors were able to come together.
Yeah,
and, like,
and decide
say what they needed.
Everything that
we're
gonna need for the next 2 years for clinicals and lab. Is in that bag.
It's kind of crazy. It really is kind of crazy if you think about it.
I mean, it's a cool duffel.
It is a cool duffel, and we get to keep it. So
yay.
Worth it.
Worth it for the $400 duffel bag.
Woo. Yeah, so that's kind of like a more uplifting thing. Something very exciting.
It was really cool.
We all freaked out when we got it. Like, we're like, oh my god, we're nurses.
You should put a picture.
I'll add a picture.
We took, like, add a little picture.
Freaking out on the little
Snapchat
video.
Yeah,
I'll add that.
Before we were stressed.
Yeah, we were pretty stressed then already.
Yeah, we're always stressed. Fine. No biggie.
Yeah. So okay. So just I feel like we're gonna kind of start wrapping this up. But the last thing we kind of want to say to end it on a positive note is besides all of our complaints, I mean, you're going to have that with any program, with any school. Obviously, these are pretty big issues.
Yeah.
And
we don't I know it seems like we were talking about or at least I was talking about it like a little negatively. Like I still do like the program, and there's like a lot of, and we're about to get into some of it, like absolutely amazing things about this program. And the school in general. Like we could make an even longer video about like all the good things and not even get half of them in.
Right.
But these were just things that had been more immediately we'd on the brain, just because it was a little bit frustrating. But yeah, there's a lot of good things about the program too.
Definitely. So right. So one of the things right now that I guess is kind of a nicer thing that we've had this quarter that we haven't really had in the past is just how accommodating and like welcoming every single one of our professors are. Like genuinely every single one.
Yeah.
Like we start the majority of our classes with like a hi, how are you, like let's like get into like a good mental state, like we're so happy to have you here, we're so sorry for all the work that you're going through, like we do full on like guided meditations before our quizzes and like in multiple classes too. Like one of our professors will put up like a feelings chart and be like explain how you're feeling. Let's write a reflection on, like, if you don't want to write the reflection on something that happened in class, just write about how you're doing that day. Like just really nice stuff that we haven't really had like before this, I feel like, and it makes up for how much work we have right now. Not fully, but it definitely helps, and it's very welcoming and very reassuring. And I think, I mean, I've seen, I don't know about like how accurate this is, but I've seen a lot of TikToks from other nursing programs of people being like first day of nursing school, and it's like this video of their professors being like, if you're not like on antidepressants, like start now and like do all of this, like don't ever miss a class, like this is gonna be hell, like and we just haven't had that experience.
I feel like our professors have been very transparent with us about how about our like stress levels like for the next 2 years and like the workload that we've had. They've been honest with like that, and we come into lab and my lab professor's like, how are you guys doing? And if someone goes, oh, we're fine, she goes, be honest. Like you're in nursing school, you're not fine. And so they've been like, they're really passionate. All of our professors are really passionate about burnout and about mental health as well, which I think has been helpful to us,
and very like knowledgeable
because they're very
about it too.
They're very, they've all experienced, like they've all like disclosed things about their personal lives. I'm not going to share here, but it's made me like, I don't think I've ever felt like I could trust a professor like more than like our professors now. Like I feel like they genuinely have our best interests at heart, and they like talk to us like humans and not like scary like other beings. And so it's been really nice to see like that side. We're not in our 300 people lectures, where we're just another face like in the audience. Like we know our professors and like they want to know us and they want to know how we're doing and they want us to talk to them,
which is a very rare experience for a UCLA student. I think we're very, very lucky to have that.
I mean, it's hard. Like, school has been hard, at least for me.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
It's been hard, but knowing that our professors, like, are there to talk to us and, like, have our best interests at heart and, like, want us to, like, take care of ourselves, like, is, like, really good.
Yeah.
And, like, good to have, good to know, like, good to experience. So we're lucky in that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to our professors.
Woo. Love you guys. Yeah, okay. I feel like that's pretty, I was gonna check how long, I think that's been about like 30 minutes. So.
Sure.
All right.
Pretty good.
As usual, if you have any questions or any comments, any suggestions, anything you want to hear.
It doesn't even have to be nursing related, too. We have so much.
Just tell us how your day's been.
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
And if you have any ideas for future videos
or new
questions,
podcast title names.
Yeah. Let us know.
If you like Unplugged. I think it's pretty funny.
I like it.
Like UCLA Unplugged. I feel like that could be something.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll see. Yeah.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts. If you have any questions, video ideas, podcast name ideas, like anything. It doesn't have to be nursing related either.
Whatever you want.
It's whatever your heart desires. Whatever you would like to watch or listen to.
Yeah.
I hope that people like listening to us.
I think so. We got some good comments last time. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Very sweet.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks guys. To be completely honest, I don't know when the next video is gonna be.
We're gonna try.
We are. Just know we've like this is like the third appointment we made.
Wednesdays? Can we like do it? We
can do Wednesdays.
Okay.
We can absolutely do Wednesdays.
Okay.
So potentially podcasts every Wednesday.
Yeah.
Don't count on it.
Maybe.
It would probably be like a weekend thing though. Like I'd post them on the weekend.
Yeah. Or we could also film it on Saturdays too. Like
Saturdays.
I
like Wednesdays. I like Wednesdays. I think that'd be fun.
It's like smack in the middle of the week.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe not this Wednesday though, because we'll be studying for our midterm on Thursday.
Hopefully podcast very soon and somewhat frequently.
Can you tell that we don't have time?
But no promises. Yeah, so
it's fine. Maybe
subscribe,
next year.
Like, do all the things if you feel so inclined.
Yeah.
And check out my other videos if you're interested in this content.
Yeah, she has really good content, really good
that's
UCLA
fine
content.
Too. Yeah. All right. See you in the next one.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
No, we have to do the exit. And this is
Lisa.
And this is what? Lisa and Taylor.
Oh,
and this
Lisa
is
and Okay. And okay, and this was.
Okay.
And this was Lisa and Taylor with BRUIN BANTER.